mascot, the visor, the visitor. Yes, his trophy still gleams, his title still shines, his legacy still looms. But the past isn't part of the schedule, and the Gator Walk doesn't move down memory lane. It's a return, but not a homecoming. Sentimentality is for the off-season. For an old head ball coach, the memories might be deep. For a new one, the present might be deeper. And in this swamp, someone's season is about to go under.
I like those blues there. The blues are going to be the soundtrack for the loser of this game tonight, a primetime collision. Note the start time, 7:15 Eastern time, presented by Hampton Hotels. The Swamp, a place that no South Carolina team has ever won. The Gators have beaten them 18 out of 19 since 1939. So it's a great subplot as Steve Spurrier goes back to the place where he became a legend and created a legacy, but now trying to pull off the impossible dream and get South Carolina to the championship game. After the SEC East's most bizarre season ever, they're an awful 2-15 against the West. You got two teams with a combined 6 conference losses trying to settle things. And the Gamecocks, by the way, coming off a 3-touchdown loss at home to Arkansas, just hoping that the freshman workhorse, Marcus Lattimore's knee is going to hold up, hoping that Steven Garcia can recapture the form that beat Alabama because he was rattled by Arkansas. We'll have more on the Gators' 3-headed quarterback monster in a second, but first, a guy who certainly appreciates a flexible approach to quarterback, the HBC, is with Holly Rowe.
Well, Coach Spurrier, some people are saying this is the biggest game in South Carolina history. How have you approached that with your team, getting them ready?
Well, I don't think it's the biggest, Holly. In 1969, South Carolina won the ACC, and I think they beat Wake Forest to do that the last game. So that was the only championship. If we're fortunate enough to win, it'd be one of the biggest games, but I wouldn't say it's the biggest.
Your name's on the stadium. You've got a big history here. How do you set all that aside and just worry about South Carolina?
Yeah, that's a long time ago. It was 9 years ago when I coached here at Florida. So it's been a while. We've recruited all these players on South Carolina's team now. So we've talked about trying to win the Eastern Division, winning the SEC. That's our goal. So we got a shot at it, and we're fired up about the opportunity. We know it's going to be difficult to beat Florida at home here in the Swamp, but it's been done, and we got to believe that if we play our best, we got a chance to do it.
Thank you, Coach. Appreciate your time.
Holly.
Chris, back to you.
Holly Spurrier has Alshon Jeffrey, the SEC East top receiver, perhaps, along with A.J. Green. But Green was shut down by the Gators' Janoris Jenkins. So can Jeffrey, who's been very, very good against ranked teams, 22 catches, 4 touchdowns in those 3 games, can he get loose tonight? For Florida, Chris Rainey back a couple of games off the suspension. He's been making an impact as a receiver and also as a punt blocker. Had a couple last week. He's joined by Jeff Demps, whose foot is healed, so Gators much faster than they were a few weeks ago. And here comes old Jordan Reed, tight end / wide receiver / quarterback, physical wildcat runner, a changeup for Brantley and Burton. He's also got a decent arm. So here's Urban Meyer on the recent turnaround.
I think the one thing that hurt us is when we didn't have the speed guys. You know, we played a lot of games without those 2 fast guys, Rainey and Demps. In our offense, and what we do, it all starts with the ability to attack the edge of the defense. When you take that speed away from us, we kind of go backwards. So we got it back.
I see, a lot of guys grew up. And younger guys grew up. Some of the older guys that weren't, doing so well grew up a little bit more. Everyone's getting their confidence up and playing really hard. We're just throwing defenses off and just doing what we're used to doing. This up-tempo, middle huddle offense is really paying off.
If this turns out and they play hard in this game and find a way to win, that's a real credit to these guys.
Here's the big question, though. Is the turnaround the last couple of games against Georgia and Vandy because those opponents aren't very good? Notice the numbers there on the right column, how much better they are in the first 7 games. Remember, they just put 7 on the board at home against Mississippi State. Or is it because they've figured out a way to use these 3 quarterbacks and because Rainey and Demps are back in there? This matchup is really interesting because the South Carolina defense statistically is the best in the conference against the run. But that's because everybody throws the ball on them. And also, against a couple of teams, Gamecocks have given up some rushing yards. And they're not a very good third down defense. So I'm fascinated by this matchup today.
I think you're right. At the same time, you do have to look at Florida, at the very least, recognize that they took advantage of the bye week before Georgia. And Steve Adazio has been criticized a lot throughout the country and on this show. He and Urban Meyer deserve a lot of credit for finding ways to change things up and get some different players involved, such as Jordan Reed and Trey Burton. Let's look at this week's Home Depot Coaches Playbook. And Jordan Reed is a big man, 6'3", 240 pounds. It almost looks like more the Tim Tebow style of offense. No huddle, upbeat, trying to put pressure on the defense. Burton gets his chance to take the direct snap, and when he comes in, it's not as powerful, but it's very, very quick. He has the ability to take that snap with his own read and get upfield in a hurry. So he and Jordan Reed are a great complement to one another. And then you have the Rainey factor that Urban Meyer talked about. And the last couple games that Rainey's been back, he has 377 all-purpose yards, a couple touchdowns, has been a big difference. Seems to be playing with a lot of emotion, a lot of energy. And with all these adjustments and the changes and the up-tempo style, South Carolina's strength, whether it's you look at the numbers because everyone throws against them or not, they are more stout against the run. Florida's going to have the ability with John Brantley or Jordan Reed to throw the football, I think, in this game if they want to have a chance to move the ball consistently. The up-tempo will help them. Reed and of course, Burton will help in the running game. They're going to have to make some plays throwing the ball against South Carolina.
The matchup I want to see is South Carolina's wide receiver Alshon Jeffrey against the Gators secondary. I mean, the Gators secondary lead the SEC in INTs. They have 17 on the season, but this kid Alshon Jeffrey, he's a beast. At 6'4", 230 pounds, he's a heck of an athlete. Here he is against press off coverage. He throws the DB out of his way, catches the ball, makes him miss, makes another DB miss. Very good after the catch. A real natural wideout, just very fluid with the ball in his hands. Now here he is against press coverage at the top of the screen. The DB is going to get physical with him. Jeffries is very strong. He wears him like a cheap suit and makes a great one-handed catch. And now this is Jeffrey against Alabama. Against zone coverage, it's like a bracket, a man underneath the safety over the top. As he runs this corner route, the cornerback gets lost, but the safety, he tries to make a play on the ball. Excellent throw by quarterback Steven Garcia, but another big play by Alshon Jeffrey. He's a fantastic athlete. In high school in South Carolina, he was the Class A Player of the Year in basketball his junior and senior year. I don't know, maybe the Buckeye fans don't like basketball players, but that just tells you how great of an athlete he is. So I can't wait to see that matchup with the DBs from Florida, because those guys average, I think, 5'11" in height.
Sure.
Yeah.
The Gator coaches are now working on a plan to play those three quarterbacks. But they better not forget the offensive line. That's the secret to beating South Carolina. I think Florida offensive line beat South Carolina by a touchdown.
Their goal is to play so fast to get 100 offensive snaps. That's extraordinary. If you're going to do that, your defense better take the ball away from South Carolina to get it for a while. And we hope that Lattimore's knee isn't a factor. And you're focused on Jeffrey. I was looking at the throws by Garcia, because if he can play the way he did against Alabama on the road, but is Garcia a guy that you can trust every week? Because he was rattled by Arkansas and played poorly last week, so we don't know for sure.
You almost wonder if South Carolina was peeking ahead and buying into some of the people that said it doesn't matter what happened against Arkansas, they can still win the SEC East, because that didn't look like the same South Carolina team.
That team is going to go down in the swamp and get one for Coach Spurrier.
Yeah.
Oh, do you?
They're going to beat the Gators.
And they will drive back to Columbia, South Carolina if they win, not in a Volkswagen.
Well, it'll be shined up. Volkswagen will be shined up.
No, sir. Still a Volkswagen. They won the SAT test.
Oh, you're saying win
They have to win it, not just get there.
Wasn't enough for you to win the East? They never done that
No,
before.
sir. No, sir. The title.
Gotta win it.
The title.
May stay in the garage.
I want to see you eat your words. I don't have a rooting interest in that conference, but one of these days I want to see you eat your words for Spurrier. You're talking about high-tempo offense.